Previously on the High Risk Wrestling Podcast. Because he's a former Intercontinental Champion, he did his time down there in NXT. He can fit squarely into the mid-card realm, and he has a lot of good running mates that he'll be able to wrestle. Tegan Nox, Xia Li, Piper Niven, Nikki Cross. I'm fans of all of these women. They have no direction. Xia Li's been MIA. Piper Niven, another person I'm a huge. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, everybody. It is Saturday, May 13th, and you know what that means. It is time once again for the High Risk Wrestling Podcast. I am your host, the one that gets the job done, Jeremy Pierce. Welcome one and all to another show. I greatly appreciate it. And as always, you can check me out on the social media, Charismatic Creatures on Facebook and YouTube. The 215 on Twitter, Charismatic_Creations52 on Instagram, and as always, you can check out the Patreon and the Coffee page, as all donations are greatly appreciated and, well, accepted. Thank you. Today's show, last week we did the WWE draft, so I guess, figure today we look at how the draft impacted NXT. So like last week we looked at just how the main roster would be affected, but now let's take a look at how NXT would be accepted. But for now, you all know what's next, so just go on and hit my music. Alright, so We're a little bit light on news this week, which is never a bad thing. So let's just get into it. So as you know, we had Backlash this past weekend, and the crowd was amazing compared to Monday Night Raw, whose crowd was absolutely atrocious, and WWE were in a lose-lose situation because no crowd coming out of Backlash was going to be as good as Backlash. So you can clearly see that they piped in all of the booze. It's very, very obvious. Maybe you should put on better shows in America so the, crowd can be better. Ring of Honor free agents. A lot of people working for Ring of Honor right now that are appearing regularly, but they aren't under contract. Guys like Red Titus, LSG, Cheeseburger, Shane Taylor, they're working on pay per deals right now. And Shane Taylor, he's a Ring of Honor legend. AEW, they'll also be moving to bigger venues. They're gonna test out being in the TD Garden at Boston. Now, usually when AEW does their pay-per-views, they're in bigger arenas, but when they do Dynamite, they're in the smaller arenas. I was just in one for Baltimore, and it's a nice sizable arena, but it's not, the Wells Fargo. So we'll see how they do at the TD Garden. As you know, AEW will be bringing in Collision coming in June. It's their new Saturday show, and they will have a fresh roster. Essentially what that means is a lot of people that we just haven't seen in a minute will more than likely be featured on that show, because if you watch Dynamite this past week, we've had two returns, Miro and Thunder Rosa. Quick backstage, I figured that they'll be featured on the Collision show. Thunder Rosa, she's still hurt, but it's good to get her back out there. She has been at AEW doing Spanish commentary. As we know, far as we know right now, the length of Trinity's contract, she will be working throughout the summer. For now, we know she has a match at Under Siege, so it looks like she'll be up until at least August, maybe even early September. We'll see how it goes, but this has really been a big get for them. Current capacity set up for AEW All In at Wembley Stadium. Currently, they're set up for 65,000 tickets. They've sold that much without a single match being announced. And the setup will be up to 74,000. They may even hit that mark. That's absurd. The corporate structure of the WWE will be as follows when it comes to the merger between UFC and WWE. Endeavor, the owners will have 51% of the voting power. WWE will have 49% of the voting power. Big things popping, little things stopping. Kota Ibushi, his sights are set on AEW. He's not going to WWE. We just know that, but it looks like he's probably going to AEW. If he's done with New Japan, they have an offer for him, but he said AEW is still his number one priority. When it comes to our injury updates, Eddie Kingston had hernia surgery, I believe, so he will be out of action for the next several weeks. Kyle O'Reilly, he's also in injury recovery. It's progressing very, very slowly, but when he comes back, he will be rejoining Roderick Strong and Adam Cole. On the rating side, Rampage last week, under 300,000 viewers with that early start time. They brought in 294,000 with a .09 and 18 to 49 demo. We got to do something about Rampage. Raw this past week, the fallout for Backlash, 1.7 million viewers with a .51 and 18 to 49 demo. That's about average on what they did the previous week. So not good, not great. We'll see how things progress with the draft. Dynamite this past week pulled 877,000 viewers with a .32 and the 18 to 49 demo. That is up. From in the viewership and the demo, and from the week before, and from the week before that. So this was a really, really good show that was promoted heavily in SmackDown. They did 2.0 million viewers with the .52 in the 18 to 49 demo. That is up in the viewership and up in the demographics. So everybody's doing pretty well. We did pretty well this week. We'll see how next week progresses. So let us just dive right into our week in review. It's going to be a lot with Collision coming. I'm going to figure something out, guys. I'm going to definitely figure something out. So Monday Night Raw, we had our fallout from Backlash and the start of the World Heavyweight Championship tournament. So Cody starts the show. He acknowledges his time in Jacksonville because that's where they were for Raw. Says he's looking past Brock. He's beaten Brock. He's over that. He's looking forward to the tournament. Seth Rollins comes out. They have a look at each other. Damian Priest says it took a whole island to defeat him, which is partially true, but remember, the Judgment Day attacked first. Seth defeats Shinsuke and Damien in the triple threat match, the first of the two triple threat matches to advance to the semifinals. I would have actually had 3 singles matches, then do the triple threat match, one triple threat match from Raw and SmackDown next week with the finals taking place in Saudi Arabia. But I digress. Imperium chastised KO and Sammy. Ali defeats Otis with a little help from Maxine. Not help, but Chad and Maxine were arguing on the apron. She didn't want Otis to do the caterpillar. Chad did. He lost. Referring to Otis. Finn wins the second triple threat match, defeating Cody and The Miz. The Miz. After Brock just came out and absolutely murdered Cody and wants a fight, and they'll fight at Night of Champions. Rhea Ripley defeated, shocker, Dana Brooke randomly just showed up, and as Rhea was beating on Dana after the match, Natalya came up, but she was walking a little slowly, so looks like Natalya might be Rhea's next opponent. So that was weird. Natalya is like almost always everybody's first challenger. Sammy and KO defeated Imperium. Chelsea Green and Sonya Deville were going backstage trying to get people to sign a petition for a tag team title shot. They asked The Way, Candice, Johnny, Indy, and Dexter to sign. They all said no. Chelsea and Sonya left, and Johnny says that he's coming back to get the family back together, probably referring to Ciampa, and Candice isn't sure about it. Chelsea Singh get the title shot anyway. Zoe Stark defeated Nikki Cross. Trish besmirches Becky. She even does the fake out with like Becky's music coming on. But Becky returns anyway. Her mic was accidentally cut off. So I'm curious to see where this feud is going to go. Can they drag this out all the way until SummerSlam? Dominic Mysterio defeated Xavier Woods to start from a backstage segment. And the main event, Seth Rollins defeated Finn Balor, advancing to the finals at Night of Champion. Raw gets fists over on Dynamite. The Elite versus the BCC continues. This show definitely gets a thumbs up. This was such a good show. The opening match, Claudio Castagnoli defeated Rey Fenix in a double Jeopardy match, which means whomever won, they get a title shot at the Losers Championship. So since Claudio defeated Rey, he and probably Wheeler Yuta will challenge the Lucha Brothers for the Ring of Honor Tag Team Championships. We have four pillar video packages hyping up the Double or Nothing main event. FTR will defend the tag team titles against Jay Lethal and Jeff Jarrett at Double or Nothing with Mark Briscoe as the special guest referee. Everybody was happy. They were sharing some drinks until Sanjay just spit the booze into, I want to say, Dax's face, and then Dax accidentally gave Mark Briscoe a power jab as the fights broke out. So this is just good stuff. Jericho has Adam Cole banned from the building as long as Jericho is there, and Roderick Strong challenges Jericho to a match. Tony Khan makes an announcement about another announcement that he's going to make next week. This is going to be about AEW Collision. Orange Cassidy retains the International Championship against Daniel Garcia. This was really fun and really good. Christian gets heat. They're in Detroit. And so he will be next in line to challenge Wardlow. He even took some shots at Arn Anderson. Christian's just really good at getting heat right now. Julia Hart defeated Anna Jay in a no-holds-barred match. The House of Black retained against the Best Amigos. That would be the Best Friends and Bandito in the first House Rules match for the Trios Championship. And let's go over the rules one more time. 20-second countout, no rule breaks, DQs are enforced, and the challenging team gets to choose the last rule. They didn't know about it. And their match is right after Julia Hart's match, so they say witches are banned from ringside. Gotta love the Best Friends. And in the main event, Jon Moxley defeated Kenny Omega in a steel cage match when Don Callis turned on his son, Kenny Omega. And this got time to breathe, so now I need to know what's next. Where is this going to go? This match, of course, was a banker. Over on Ring of Honor, Mark Briscoe defeated Shane Taylor. Claudio and Wheeler Yuta defeated Rhett Tider and Tracy Williams. This was the warm-up for the Ring of Honor Tag Team Championship match. Samoa Joe retained the TV Championship against Blake Christian. The Righteous defeated the Infantry, and they won Stu Grayson. Robert Renegade tapped out Vert Vixen. The Mogul Embassy had to secretly attack the boys. Willie Mack defeated Ninja Mack. Return of the Mack once again. Mogul Embassy won a squash. Kyle Fletcher, not Kyle O'Reilly. Kyle Fletcher defeated Tony Deppen. This is to set up his International Championship match, because he had attacked, I didn't go over this, but he had attacked Orange Cassidy on Dynamite. AR Fox defeated Anthony Henry. FTR and Eddie Kingston made the save for Fox. The Dark Order defeated the Trustbusters and Varsity Athletes, and Stu Grayson isn't happy. And in the main event, Athena defeated Skye Blue, retaining the the Ring of Honor Women's World Championship. This has been the best that Skye Blue has looked. It always helps that it gets a competent and great opponent like Athena. I could see there being a rematch. Athena's beating everybody at this point. She's defeated everybody. Impact Wrestling, they do what they do. So as for Impact's show, Masha Slamovich defeated Killer Kelly. This feud is very much far from over. Nick Aldis defeated Sheldon Dean. Cass wants to make Impact his legacy. It's where, he's done the best work of his career, and I like what we're doing with Cass right now. The Good Hands defeated the Decay. Steve Macklin retained the World Championship against Rhino and destroys his knee with a shovel. Scott D'Amore makes the world title match now against PCO, a no DQ match. PCO stops Steve Macklin from attacking Ronald even more. Dirty Dango defeated Johnny Swinger. Sammy Callahan and Rich Swann attacked the Design. In the main event, the Coven retained the Knockouts Tag Team Championship against Jordan Grace and Deonna Purrazzo. Trinity made the save, but I need Impact to allow the women the tag team championships to be defended outside of the company. They don't have enough teams, man. They just don't. Over on SmackDown, the World Heavyweight Championship tournament continues. AJ Styles in the first match defeated Edge and Rey Mysterio, advancing to the semis. This shocked everybody because everybody just assumed Edge was going to win. Bobby Lashley in the second match defeated Austin Theory and Sheamus. Cameron Grimes squashed Baron Corbin with a quick cave-in. Do we get the return of bum-ass Baron Corbin? Roman Reigns gaslight the Usos. You have to see this segment. It's so good. He essentially uplifts Solo, says that he's a problem solver, gives Solo positive reinforcements when Solo says, what about the KO and Sammy problem? Roman's like, we're past that. He then tells his cousins Jimmy and Jay, why would you dedicate a tag team title match for me when I'm a solo competitor? There's that. Then he says he wants them to apologize. He mushes Jimmy. Jimmy, you can tell, ain't with that and is about to step to Roman, and Jay gets in the way and he apologizes. Then he says, he gives the mic to Paul Heyman, and Paul Heyman says, with the help with Roman Reigns' orders, KO and Sammy will defend the tag team championships at Night of Champions, which won. I thought KO and Sammy were just like never going to be in Saudi Arabia, so this is a little crazy. But they're going to defend the tag team championships against Roman and Solo. What? Usos look hurt, and then Roman says he's dedicating this match to the greatest tag team of all time, Alpha and Sika, the Wild Samoans. Oh my god! Yo, when the Usos snap on Roman, it's going to be fantastic. Oh, Lord. Liv and Raquel retain the tag team championship against Damage Control after some communication errors on Damage Control's part. The split is coming. Pretty Deadly annoys the Brawling Brutes. Asuka missed Bianca during her championship celebration, so it looks like we're going to get this WrestleMania rematch, and I need Asuka to win at this point. AJ Styles defeats Bobby Lashley in the main event to advance to the finals, as he'll be taking on Seth Rollins now at Night of Champions. I mean, we're expecting Seth to win. Our matches of the week from Backlash: Bianca Belair versus Io Sky for the Raw Women's Championship. Probably the match of the weekend. Bad Bunny versus Damien Priest in a San Juan street fight also from Backlash. From Dynamite, Claudio Castagnoli versus Rey Fenix in a double Jeopardy match from Dynamite as well. Probably my favorite match of the entire week. Orange Cassidy versus Daniel Garcia for the AEW International Championship. The story being told, Orange Cassidy being a fighting champion. This is like 21 straight defenses. He's just on a roll right now. From Dynamite as well, Jon Moxley versus Kenny Omega in that steel cage match. From SmackDown, AJ Styles versus Bobby Lashley. And from Ring of Honor, Athena versus Skye Blue for the Ring of Honor Women's Championship. Go check out all of these matches. Also, our star of the week, I gave it to Bad Bunny last week, so I'm going to give it to someone else this week, and I'm going to give it to Orange Cassidy. The man has just been on fire. But that is the week in review, and we shall be right back. With the draft over and done with, I figured it'd be prudent, as we looked at the main roster last week, we should take a look at the NXT roster this week. And I wanted to talk about, one, how the call-ups from NXT, how I think they'll do on the main roster, just a little bit more in depth, and then taking a look at the NXT roster and what's really on tap for them. So we'll start with Raw. We'll start with SmackDown. We have 2 free agents. Let's start with the free agents, okay? Von Wagner and Zion Quinn. There is nothing in store for them. Sorry, there just isn't. Like, they kind of want to make Von Wagner happen, but it just won't happen because he's freaking Von Wagner. Remember last year Might have been last year. Randomly, he was on SmackDown backstage. I think it's like Vince's bodyguard or something like that. He was just there. Random. Zion Quinn, in and out of NXT, not really doing much. It's not going to be doing much on the main roster. Here's what I believe is going to happen. They'll be future endeavored. I'm sorry to say that. And here's the thing. They won't even be the only ones, obviously. But there's nothing for them to do on the main roster. Nothing. I believe their call-ups were just to get them out of the way. It's that simple. It's that simple. But let's move over to Monday Night Raw. Apollo Crews. These will be in alphabetical order, people, for the most part. Apollo Crews, former roster mainstay, even has a win at WrestleMania over Big E. It's not doing the whole Nigerian gimmick anymore that he used to do in the Indies, and had a nice little run in NXT. Got a world championship match, but the question is, what will he do on the main roster? Apollo Crews will probably never, ever sniff a world championship. He has been designated as a mid-card guy, and that sucks. He's got all the talent. Essentially what I see for him is just a mid-card person. Yeah. And he can give you so much more. They brought him up, but they kept Dabo Kato down in NXT. Honestly, Apollo should have never been drafted to NXT in the first place. Indy Hartwell, out of everybody drafted to Raw, she probably has the biggest chance of succeeding. She's a former NXT Women's Champion, even though her reign wasn't long. I believe she's an NXT Texas Champion as well. But the reason she will ultimately be successful is because of our previous affiliation with Johnny Gargano, Candice LeRae, and Dexter Lumis. That right there alone will keep her relevant. Being a part of The Way, as they were commonly known as their faction. You've got her love story with Dexter. You have a built-in tag team with Candice LeRae for the women's tag team division. And you have Johnny Gargano, the father figure of the group. So it's like she just needs to keep improving in the ring. And having one of the best women's wrestlers today in Candice LeRae, as someone you ride with, you can learn from and train with, that helps. Because we don't have a lot of, I want to say, horses on the main roster when it comes to the women with height. I mean, there are some, but Indy's kind of the only one that really wants to fly. I think the women's division really hasn't had any high flyers, women that can, that like to utilize the top rope in a while, with the exception of, EO. Indy likes to go to the top, and she can use that size, she can use that strength. Her future is bright. Keep her with The Way. Don't let it get too comedic. Build on her and Dexter. She should be fine. JD McDonough I like, but I can see him as being that random U.S. championship. Y'all do y'all remember when Kalisto was U.S. champion and had a match at WrestleMania? I can see that for JD McDonough, because he's another guy I don't think they would push as world champion. Like, if JD McDonough, he's part of that group that if he was in, if NXT UK was still a thing, if he was in Impact, if he was in AEW, he'd be a world champion, because the guy's that good in the ring. He's really that good. But for now, I can see him as nothing more than a mid-card champion. But fuck all your seatbelts, because when he faces Gunther, it's going to be amazing. In this year, Veer, Sangha, and Jinder, they were rehabilitated in NXT, which is what you use NXT for. One of the reasons you have NXT, which is one of the reasons you use NXT. More factions. We just talked about, the way and a potential return of Tommaso Ciampa. And then we have Indus-Sher. We have the LWO, the Bloodline, the Brawling Brutes, the Judgment Day. So he was getting a little bit of faction heavy. And Indus-Sher is headlined by Jinder Mahal, a former WWE champion. So that helps them. The question is, can they be taken seriously? They need to be taken seriously, because the tag team division needs all of the help that they can get. They truly need. Katana Chance and Kaden Carter, these are two women who I thought at one point would never get called up, as they were in NXT for a very, very long time. I honestly thought they'd never get called up. Seriously, they've been in NXT for such a long time, and it was just time. I think the main roster will benefit so much more from them being on the main roster than NXT losing them, because the main roster, their women's tag team division needs work. It needs help. And if you look at all of the teams recently, no one's truly a team. After a while, you gel and you become a team. But Katana and Kaden have been a team. They are a team. Look at the current NXT Women's Tag Team Champions. We'll get to a little bit later. They were kind of just thrown together, but it fit in the realm of storyline purposes. I would probably say the second team is Candice and Indy. They're a team because they have a history together. But Katana and Kaden will get to bring a new avenue and a new element to the main roster of women's division. Because again, besides EO, there really aren't any high flyers. Now, Odyssey Jones, he's a weird one because he was out recently with his injury. They kind of had like a mini suspension. So it's, where does he fit? I can see him definitely being a high-end player. He's got the energy. He's got the focus. Something to exceed past the mid-card. He could be that breakout guy. Because I think the people on SmackDown that got drafted on SmackDown are a little bit more obvious, whereas Raw is up and down. But Odyssey Jones, he's got a look, but can they use him? Can they excel? Can they uplift him? Because he can carve out a nice little spot for himself on the main roster. He can for sure do that. The question is, will they allow it to happen? That's what I'm very, very curious about. And lastly, we have Zoe Stark, who, out of everyone that I've named so far, she's the only one that's actually had a match since being called up. And that bodes well for her, that she's already had a match. Because she could be a major player. Like, she fits in well because of her in-ring ability and her in-ring acumen. Just can't get lost in the shuffle like Zaya, like Piper, like Lacey Evans and Tegan and Shotzi. Like, there's so many women on the main roster that we're not using. And Zoe already had a match. That bodes well for her. Let's see. She's a heel, and if we're looking on the Raw side of things, when it comes to the women, how many heels do we have? We've got Chelsea, Emma, Maxine Dupree. It's weird because Natalya confronted Rhea, so let's tell us. What did I think Natalya was ill? So, hold on. So we got Maxine, Emma, Chelsea, Ronda, Shayna, Sonya. So that's Valhalla, who's not really wrestling. So Zoe makes 7, and we don't know what's going on with Xylee, who showed up. She was just there, but that bodes well for Xylee. Over on the I'm sorry, for Zoe Stark. Over on the SmackDown side, they're much easier to take a look at to really understand. SmackDown had 4 quote unquote people drafted up. So we have the NXT Women's Tag Team Champions, Alba Fire and Isla Dawn. Isla probably could have used a little bit more time in NXT, but she's been paired with Alba Fire. Alba is someone that did not need to be in NXT for the very, very, very longest. And I'm just happy she's out of NXT because she deserves to be on the main roster. She's like that good of a wrestler. And the rest of the women's division is going to benefit greatly. So now, what I'm wondering is what's going to happen with the NXT Women's Tag Team Champions. Because if you watch SmackDown, Alba and Isla are watching the Women's Tag Team title match. Will there be a unification match? Because remember, when the main roster Women's Tag Team Championships were originally created, they were to be defended throughout all the brands: Raw, SmackDown, NXT, NXT UK. I think they were defending the NXT one time when that led to the creation of the NXT Women's Tag Team Championships. So I could potentially see a unification match happen. If you figure the current main roster tag team champions are Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez, the NXT tag team champions are Alba and Isla. That I could see unification match, and this time them really fully going through with the championships being defended on between Raw, SmackDown, and NXT. But at some point they're going to break up, because this is what WWE does. They break up tag teams. Alba is going to be a single star. Like I am chomping at the bit to see her versus Asuka, her versus Rhea. Those are the main two. Those are the main two. But these two women are going to benefit greatly from being called up. Cameron Grimes had a match. Another dude, he was MIA, guy that works on the Indies, needs to be on the main roster, and he already had a match. He already is getting a push, and I think we are all expecting big things for Cameron Grimes. So I'm not really worried about him. I'm just not. He might get stuck into that comedy mid-card role, because I don't think WWE can see him as a world champion. He might get an odd opportunity here and there, even some Money in the Bank matches. But he's another dude that, as long as Triple H is in charge, is going to do just fine. Same thing with Pretty Deadly, who had done all they could do in NXT, and they're already getting started on the main roster. They'll be taking on the Brawling Brutes next week. So they're a team that know who they are, what they are, their gimmick, how to use it, how to work it in the ring. These guys are just good. And the tag team division will once again benefit greatly. SmackDown will benefit, because I don't even like SmackDown's got teams. Remember, right now the tag team championships are quote unquote unified as they're on Raw. The two championships are together, but they're held by one team. But if you look at the SmackDown tag team division, let's just take a quick look at the SmackDown tag team division. We have the Street Profits, Hit Row, the Brawling Brutes, the LWO, Pretty Deadly, the Usos, the Good Brothers. That's 7. Am I missing anybody? Nope. That's 7 bona fide teams. And then if you go over to the Raw roster, we have Angel and Humberto, but they're not really doing anything. They're going to be MIA. So how about we just not include them? So let's start over. So we got the Alpha Academy. We have the Judgment Day. We have the Way. We have Imperium. The Viking Raiders. Indus-Sher, the New Day, Maximum Male Models, Mad 8 teams. Is there any other? 8. 8 plus the 7 for SmackDown. That makes 15 teams. That's not a bad division. So Pretty Deadly, I think, will fit just right in. Another guy who we're all expecting big things for is Grayson Waller. He had a brief moment on the main roster with his quick little feud with AJ Styles. That was just to get more eyes onto NXT, but Grayson Waller is another guy that I'm not worried about. Out of everybody that we've talked about, I for sure see him as a world champion. I think he's going to fit perfectly into that Miz role once the Miz retires, but we don't know when the Miz is going to retire. The Miz has been doing this for 20 plus years now and never gets hurt. Give the Miz his flowers, all right? But Grayson Waller is going to do just fine. He's already going to have AJ Styles on the Grayson Waller effect next week. And that was smart because they do have history together. I just now peeped that. So I'm not worried about Grayson Waller. SmackDown might be better with their draft picks because they're all just going to fit right in for sure. Now, are there any other callers from NXT that we think could have been called up? Not get lost in the shuffle? Oh, for sure. I think Blair Davenport could have been called up. I kind of wish she was still in AEW, but her and Shit Baker don't get along. But she's another woman that was there with Alba Fire that didn't need NXT. The Creed brothers and Ivy Nile, the Dynamite. I think these guys are ready, and they can have some bangers. I would love to see the Creed brothers versus the New Day versus the Brawling Brutes versus Imperium. They are the best tag team. The second best tag team because the Grizzly and Veterans are the best tag team in NXT. But the Creed brothers with Ivy now, I would love to see the Diamond Mine back together fully because I got get not Charlie Dempsey, Sean Dent, and put them back together, and that's another faction on the main roster. Wendy Chu. She would fit perfectly into that role that Nikki Cross had when she was Nikki ASH. Wendy's good in the ring. How long has Wendy Chu been wrestling? Let me see. Wendy has been wrestling sorry guys, Wendy's been wrestling. She's 31. She got her start 2014. So for almost a decade now, Wendy Chu's been wrestling. So she's got the experience, and she's made this role of Wendy Chu really, really work. And I don't think she needs to be down there. She's not, for me, like, I understand that we need people that can help guide others along. You need a little bit of experience in NXT. That's why they had Alba down there. That's why they have Wendy down there, Katana and Kaden. But Wendy doesn't need to be down there. She just doesn't. So you think to ask yourself, well, what's next for NXT? Well, the main event scene is currently fine with Melo. We'll probably be going past Braun Breaker before Braun gets his eventual call up. And that's going to be interesting to see where he fits in on the main roster. But Melo can help carry that brand. And then it's just a matter of where do you find your other main event players for the main roster for NXT, because I'm letting you know right now there aren't many who can say, well, this guy's a world champion. I mean, besides Mello and Braun, like, do they give Tony D'Angelo a shot? What about Dijak? What about Dragunov? He's an obvious pick. Maybe Briggs or Jensen, do they start splitting them up? So it's curious where they're going to find these next main event men's stars, because I think the women are in much better shape than the men. They obviously believe in Tiffany Stratton. They obviously believe in Nikita Lyons. I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of either one of them, but Tiffany's gotten much better. Wendy Chu, obviously. Gigi, love of my life. JC, Tatum Paxley, Thea Hill. They're banking on Soraka's injury hurt, because she was slowly climbing to the top of that women's division. Ivy now is great. Alexia Lopez at some point will probably be called up. Will probably maybe join the LWO. And then the tag team division is a little bit more up and down. You have, Chase U and the Schism and Brooks and Jensen, Stacks and D'Angelo. So you can always make tag teams. In the mid-card, in my opinion, everybody's a mid-carder in NXT until you're not a mid-carder in NXT. You know what I mean? So once Mello gets past Braun, once NXT crowns a new women's champion, I'm hoping to put the championship back on Roxanne Perez, who's also another woman that probably doesn't need to be in NXT, because she's like, excluding Mako Miura, Roxanne Perez, if y'all guys don't know, this is like better than everybody in NXT. She's that good of a wrestler. I'm just saying. But the woman will figure it out. The hardest part is going to be seeing what happens with this main event scene. But I'm confident they'll figure it out. Shawn Michaels has done for the most part, he's done a fine job with NXT, with the exception of Mandy Rose, Lord, shoving her down our throat, no pun intended. But and then the NXT calls on the main roster. SmackDown is in a much better shape than Raw, because they can easily just fit right in. Albin, Isla, Cameron, Grimes, Pretty Deadly, Grease Mother, they're fine. Raw is going to be harder, but you know what, guys? Let me know what you think. I greatly appreciate you all once again watching, once again listening. Yeah, next week's show we are, seeing as how we're crowning a new World Heavyweight Champion, we're going to look back at the Big Gold Belt's time in the WWE. That I am very much excited for, because that's my favorite belt. That's my favorite belt. It's just a classic. Check out the socials, Charismatic Creations on Facebook and YouTube, Charismatic_Creations 52 on Instagram, the 215 on Twitter. Please don't forget the Patreon and the Coffee page. Any and all donations are accepted and welcome and appreciated. And as always, Wendy Chu, Isla Dawn, Shotzi Blackheart, Bailey, Xia Li, and Gigi Dolan. Holla at your boy. Peace.